Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning to you. A big thank you to that one on Twitter for the above picture. What do you mean I don't know how to hold my tongs? Yes, I do. You guys, this is another super long video. Besides the royal family news, and there's a lot of it, we know that Meghan went to Washington. We're going to cover all of that, as well as these weird mannerisms and her word salad. And then, of course, she put up another reel. There's just so much, guys. I'm not even going to cover it right now. Let's just jump in because you're not going to believe what's in here. Let's go. We're starting off today with Princess Beatrice and her husband Eduardo Mosey. They went on a date to the 2025 Wishes Gala in London, October 13th. Beatrice's dress was called the Vampire's Wife. That's very cool. This helps raise money for the 2025 Art of Wishes Gala. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Next up, Princess Anne. On Thursday, October 9th, the 24th Squadron officially celebrated 110 years with a day of visits and festivities. Anne also presented a service medal to Master Aircrew Russell, recognizing 32 years of service. And a King's Commendation for bravery in the air-to-flight rescue of 14 fishermen. Oh, that's fabulous. Way to go. Now, after that, Duchess and Duke of Edinburgh arrived in Monaco for a series of engagements that reflect the bonds of respect and friendship between Monaco and the United Kingdom. They met Prince Albert and Princess Charlene. And next up, we had Queen Camilla, who attended a reception celebrating the centenary of Book Trust. This took place at Clarence House. I absolutely love Camilla's dress. All right, let's move on to the Prince and Princess of Wales. They were out on a day visit to Northern Ireland, and one of the places they went to was a firehouse. They toured the new first-class training facility for firefighters. The two of them watched as emergency workers simulated rescuing a casualty from a fast-flowing river and toured a warehouse space where other teams practiced high-rise rope and ladder rescues and tested breathing apparatus. Now, as the two of them were in the vehicle, Kate repeatedly asked whether they could drive at real speed with the sirens on. It sounds like something that Catherine would want to do. Catherine also asked if William could drive, to which they said no. Now, during the tour, the two of them met recent graduates of an 18-week training course and heard about their experiences of training at the 50-acre site, which is set out in the countryside. There were a lot of drills taking place, with William asking a lot of questions going, there are so many toys. There's so much. This is really cool. Absolutely. You know this was right up their alley, right? See, for me, the water rescue would have been the most interesting because they put these people out in the middle of the water. Then they gave Catherine the life-saving piece of equipment, which is tied to the end of the rope. And as these people floated by, it was her job to throw it out to them, for them to try to catch, to save somebody. Well, she threw it, but the person that was drifting by missed it. So had this been a real-life scenario, I guess the person would have drowned. Now, as competitive as these two are, as soon as Catherine had a turn, it was going to be William's turn. God, I love them. So this part of the tour was over. Of course, they went over where somebody gave them some absolutely gorgeous flowers, which is usual for the visit. Absolutely adorable. I have to say, Catherine looks very healthy, and I absolutely love her hair. And of course, we've seen this green jacket of hers that she's wearing multiple times. She's the queen of the rewear. Then Catherine did something really interesting. She managed to change clothes. She did like a quick change off before they went off to their next visit. She went from one to the other. Now, the next stop that they made was at a place called Long Meadow Cider, which is an award-winning family-run farm in the heart of Northern Ireland's orchard country. The two of them, once they arrived, were given the opportunity to show off their baking skills as they attempted to make something called potato apple bread. That sounds really good. They got stuck in donning aprons, rolling out the flour and the potato, and William was soon sending the orchard owners into hysterics with his comments. If we're peeling every apple, you're going to have to start helping. We'll be here a while. At one point, while slicing apples to put inside the bread, the owner called out, "I like mine thick," and William jibed back, "You'll get what, you're given." And then he looked at Catherine and said, "Do keep up." He rolled out the dough. He looked down at his effort and said, "A circle? Now you tell me, if it looked this way, it looks like a circle. It's a new variety." So funny. He was just laughing and having like the best time with his quote unquote rectangle circle. Catherine, on the other hand, seemed to nail the technique right down with a perfectly round rolled out sheet of dough, leaving William to explain, how the hell does that look like a circle when this is a rectangle? Like, he couldn't do it. By the way, this family has owned this farm for 3 generations. They make cider and apple juice since 1968. The two of them observed the apple cider vinegar production process, and then they were given some to try, and then they were given some to take home. How wonderful. Then they went out onto the farm to help out with the apple harvest, picking Golden Delicious and Bramley apple variety as they accepted baskets. Catherine, of course, filled hers up faster than William and said, "Don't drop the fruit, William." And then later on, William said, "I was saying the trees are like something from Harry Potter." Now, the McKeevers, I should say, have diversified significantly, and now they produce craft ciders, apple juice, and apple cider vinegar. Their products are sold in major supermarket chains across Northern Ireland, and Longmeadow is now a thriving tourist destination for orchard tour experiences and product tasting. Now, when they were done there, William and Catherine went to the Malin Farm, which is a flax farm in the county of Tyrone. So Catherine saw how the fiber was collected, and we know she's long been passionate about the importance of the British textile industry. She tried her hand at using a restored heritage machine, which is used for breaking and scrunching the fibers. Now, the gentleman that had toured them around and was watching her at one point, he actually said, "You got to go faster, faster, go faster." And she's like, bam, bam, bam. Now, this farm is reviving flax growing for linen as a blueprint for sustainable farming. Now, as an FYI, all of the visits on this day were completely unannounced. Nobody was aware, and we know why. Come on. Well, I think they both look great. I'm glad they went to 3 events, and they looked fabulous at all 3 of them. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Catherine was wearing. Let's move on now. Now, I've told you guys this before, but some more came out about it. We know that Meghan met with the editor of American Vogue in a Manhattan hotel. Harry apparently was not there. They were at the Whitby Hotel in New York City. A picture was taken, and while a cover is not yet confirmed, apparently Meghan is really working her way towards being on the cover of that magazine. So what happens? They finish their tour in New York, and Meghan puts up what they're calling an unsophisticated juvenile video on her Instagram. It starts with a picture of a New York taxi cab. I personally think that's a dig at the quote-unquote car chase from the last time they were in New York. It shows Meghan's very expensive row of designer clothes. It shows her flaunting rows of high-end clothing and footwear. It shows her putting on makeup, because you're supposed to know she did her own makeup while she was in New York by herself. Harry even shows up in this footage, seen dressing down and shoeless in gray sweatpants and a shirt while he's holding his cell phone and smiling at Meghan. And then there's some more additional scenes in this video, and everybody's like, what the hell is this? And what was it supposed to be? It wasn't that long ago that Meghan floated a post-divorce book about, her and Harry, and then took that disgusting video near where Princess Diana was killed, Harry's mother, and yet he's in a doorway smiling at her. I mean, to me, it shows, look how wealthy I am. Look how wonderful my life is. Look at my expensive shoes. Look at my expensive clothes. Look at all my makeup. Look at my luxury room. Is not a video that royalty puts up. This is a celebrity thing. And that's what Meghan sees herself as, a very high-priced celebrity. And that's what she wants you to see her as, and how wonderful and fabulous her life is. All right, guys. Now, let's move on to something interesting. Do you guys remember on June 17th when Meghan posted these photos? Notice the color of the greenery, okay, in the dark green. And then this picture pops up with her daughter. Suddenly, everything is different colored because she was color correcting to make her daughter's hair look orange. Then she puts out this photo. So from June to October, the little girl's wearing the same outfit and hasn't grown an inch. Right. All right, next up, I had to touch on this again. Apparently, Meghan knows that Harry won't be returning to royal duties, but on a human personal level, she wants him to be able to get on good terms with his father because they need the royal family. Meghan's aware of it, so they're ready to broker some sort of peace. Yeah, whatever. Next up, I have an issue with this article. They're saying that Harry and Meghan went out to dinner with Ed Sheeran. They were spotted leaving Soho House. There's absolutely nothing that says that because they were seen leaving together or leaving about the same time, that they were actually together for dinner. This, by the way, is a members-only restaurant, just in case you're not aware. Their total shared history is appearing together in a video for World Mental Health Day in 2019 through the Royal Foundation Heads Together, which included William and Catherine. Then they crossed paths in 2021 at a private garden party with Well Child Award winners where they swapped stories about fatherhood. And so this is the extent of their apparent friendship. Now, the only time that you can prove that they were together was on that stupid Instagram reel that I showed you a minute ago. There's a small clip in there of Meghan talking Ed Sheeran. If they did meet with Ed Sheeran for dinner, which I sincerely doubt, but if they did, it was probably to ask him to do something for them. And knowing Ed Sheeran, and he loves the royals, my guess would be he said no. For those of you who didn't recognize her outfit, she wore that dress in 2022 for Cut Magazine again. And a big thank you to the person on Twitter who made this. I don't know who it is, but it's fabulous. All right, next up, I don't know why this happened, but Daniel Martin put up a video talking about doing Meghan's makeup in Paris. You know, she just flew in, your skin gets dehydrated, so I wanted to bring some hydration back and just bring some life to it. She looks like she's wearing Vaseline. Anyway, he deleted it. I wonder why. All right, karma, guys, it's a thing. They're saying that Harry's charity has a whiff of, neo-colonialism. This is a criticism leveled by Survival International against African parks. Organizations like Survivor International argue that the conservation model, which is used by large charities, is built on the theft of indigenous lands and the dispossession of the people who are its rightful owners. So they're calling for Harry to step down from his role of African parks and for the organization to recognize indigenous land rights. Karma! All right, let's move on to our big story for today. We know that Meghan was going to speak at the Fortune's Most Powerful Women Summit. So as you can see, the room was very small. There was almost nobody in there. It wasn't a very packed room. The woman gets up. She introduces Meghan. She gets applause. And then silence. Utter silence while Meghan walks out to her seat. The two of them sit down, and then of course she does what Harry does. The woman thanks Meghan for being there, and then Meghan looks at the crowd and goes, "Hi, everybody," trying to get a response from the group. Now, I'm not going to cover everything she said because we got a lot of her word salad, but they asked her about the new First Look deal with Netflix, which some claimed was a downgrade. So, of course, she name drops the Obamas. And then she says, and I'm quoting, "My husband and I were in an overall deal with Netflix, and the extension of it was now being it's a First Look deal, which is exciting because it gives us the flexibility to go to our partners first and then at the same time be able to shop content that might not be the right fit for Netflix, but has a home somewhere else." Yeah, I can't imagine where else she would go because we already know that Disney won't touch her, and her friend who was the CEO of Paramount is no longer the CEO. So that's just a bunch of gobbledygook. She said that this deal was a sign of strength. I beg to differ. She claims she's not on social media. I beg to differ. She absolutely is. The woman that was interviewing her asked her why she wasn't back on TikTok. And she goes, there are certain things I've had to do for my own self-preservation, but I've also applied to the brand and for the people that are incredibly supportive. The point is, people don't want to come to my Instagram that give me support and see negativity. In other words, she's addressing the fact that her comments are off. She goes, I'm not just protecting myself and the people that work with me, but also my supporters. So the comment section is not on, and that's a choice. Now, at one point, she's talking about investing money in female-led businesses. And she goes, I'm not just doing that because they're female-led businesses. I'm doing that for a variety of reasons. As a woman, when we're supporting each other in these elements, it might not necessarily be something that we want to talk about, but there's nothing taboo about talking about our financial independence or our independence overall. And when we support each other, we're not just supporting each other's lives, we're supporting each other's legacies. And that's the piece that's so powerful. When I'm supporting or investing in another female founder, I'm investing in what she's going to do for the culture, for her business, the legacy she's going to leave, how that brand is going to show up in people's homes. So it's all about fundamentally important. Now, am I not wrong? Did she not invest in Sesta Collective, which it turns out is really holding women down, paying them a pittance for months and months worth of work? Because I believe she is. Now, something else, I want to remind you that if you tell the truth all the time, you don't have to remember your lies. And it wasn't that long ago. Well, here's the thing. They asked Meghan why she did as ever. Meghan said, I always loved to be able to cook and I've always wanted to be able to entertain. Is there a business here? And I think it probably was most people's assumption that it was going to go into business. It was going to be beauty or fashion. But these 5 years at home, I wasn't running around wearing beautiful outfits. I was probably in Birkenstocks and sweats like the rest of us, especially during COVID, or just barefoot at home. But I was making a lot of jam. So it ended up becoming the thing that really was my passion project, and I turned it into a business. The problem is, in April, Meghan was on the Times 100, and what she said then was that she had always loved to make things in her kitchen and make lots of jam, and she started sending her creations as gifts, and it was suggested this was her skill set that could be the makings of a Netflix special. And it was the Netflix chief content officer that said there's a show here. She said, I hadn't, at the onset, thought this was something. So once again, she's told one story one day and another story another day. Now, it wouldn't be a video if I didn't show you her freaky mannerisms and her buzzwords. We got to go there, guys. Here you go.
A lot of learns. And so just been a lot of learns, a year of learns. You know, I think my learns were to get into different SKUs, for most of the SKUs, and how we connect with each other. How do I create community, engage the community and let them know that I'm authentic, and advance my team, meet well, and I so separately. So we're able to say, exploring all all of those things. And skill set. So.
Now, when they got done talking, Meghan, of course, literally was pushing this woman away from her. She needed her day. Then she stood there in the outfit, and you couldn't help but notice she was merching this weird thing on her right hand that's like $3,500, and also that she was copying Victoria Beckham again. So it didn't take long for another travel video to come out from Meghan, and the first thing we all noticed was this bag. The DS stands for Duchess of Sussex monogram. That is a Paravel weekend bag. I was under the impression she wasn't attached to her titles. Then, of course, she did the back of the, event, and here I am walking on the stage, blah, blah, blah. And also, you notice that her skirt is literally up to her boobs. And then, of course, the rest of it is, look what a wonderful life I have. They show her after the event, traveling first class through Washington, getting to the airport, her private elevator, taking her up to the private lounge where she drinks champagne, and then she gets on her private jet. That's a private jet that she's on. I don't want to hear anything else from her or Harry about their eco-warrior. What a joke. And would somebody please tell that woman to pull her tongue in her mouth? What the hell is that? Now, one other thing, didn't Meghan have a miscarriage, supposedly her myth carriage? Well, it happens to be Baby Loss Awareness Week, and she hasn't said one word about it. Oh my God, I know that's a lot, but I really want your comments. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.